We are in the presence of a cultural icon, a physical specimen, a controversialist, a master orator, a champ. And we've also got Andrew Tate.
That was smooth. I like that. I was sitting there thinking, I'll take this introduction.
You know, the Muslim community really welcomes you, man.
Yeah, it's been pretty divided. I've had a whole bunch of support.
Yes.
Obviously, there's been some people who are not quite pleased about the idea. I think when you have a passionate subject and people that are truly engulfed in an idea, you're going to have some degree of polarization.
The main thing to note, though, is that Islam, it completely wipes away your sins. I mean, most of the companions of the Prophet had done many things which are heinous and polytheism. I mean, for us as Muslims, polytheism is the worst thing you can do.
Yeah.
And so there is a hadith of the Prophet Muhammad ﷺ where he states that Islam, it completely yuhdimu ma qabla. It destroys everything before. It means it wipes away everything before it. In other words, your slate is absolutely clean. You call it the Matrix. We can call it the liberal world order.
Yeah.
Because the LWO,
Yeah.
or whatever you want to call it. I mean, it's certainly a method of control.
You can't be tolerant of degeneracy. You can't be
Yeah.
tolerant of your own children seeing things they shouldn't see. You can be tolerant of the destruction of society. If they're going to sit here and say that, no, tolerance is the best thing ever.
They've hijacked the phrase and they've used it in their own context. There's one particular political thinker, his name is Mumbai. He said something very interesting. He said that the West has not acted morally consistent. They've only acted strategically consistent.
Yeah. They're trying to say, this is evil, this is bad, but you're intolerant
Yeah.
because you don't like evil. And there has to be a point where you stand up as a man and society stands up and says, yes, I'm intolerant of certain things. But these people are smart enough to understand that the internet's coming and people are spending more time on independent medias and people are learning more information from each other. And they're slowly, I mean, I don't want to go into the subject. We can talk about the last few years. They still have a grip on the world because they proved it, right? But with the common cold, but still, they're sitting there going, okay, we have this mass media machine. The average person only watches 6 minutes of our propaganda a day. I was raised as a Christian, and I've always been very respectful of Islam, and it's become more and more obvious to me and more pertinent that Islam is the last religion on the planet. When I talk about Islam, because I'm new to it, I'm a little bit careful, right? Because I'm new to it. I'm certainly not a scholar. There's so much I need to learn. I know I'm on a learning journey. I'm not here to sit here and talk scripture. I don't know those things yet. I'm here to learn.
Yeah.
But
and we're here at your assistance.
thank you, bro. Thank you.
Honestly.
Thank you.
Yeah.
But it's just, for me, it feels like the last religion on earth. I feel like there's no other religion. People say to me, why did you convert? And I said, I don't really feel it as a conversion. It's almost like I knew God was real and now I've become religious. I think even the basic things I teach, because some people have said to me, Andrew, all you teach about is personal responsibility, motivation, working hard, getting up and doing the right thing. I said, that's the absolute, those are the things they're most afraid of. If you teach people to have standards for themselves and to be morally strong people and to know right from wrong, then they can't brainwash you.
Yeah.
So that's what they're most afraid of. They're most afraid of young men waking up and going, I want to go to the gym and be strong, or I want to believe X, or I want to be a moral person. They genuinely have a problem with baseline morality.
Yes. Yeah.
Understand? When some people recognize when I converted to Islam that there was a time I was an atheist. There was a time when I was atheistic. And the reason I am now so absolutely certain that God is real is because I've seen evil. I've seen shaitan. I've seen it. When you see enough evil, you realize that there must be an equal and opposite force. And there are people out there in the world today doing the work of the devil, genuine demons, who are trying to destroy the baseline morality that's inside of all of us. We're all born with some kind of morality, and they're trying to destroy it.
And that's exactly the Islamic understanding, that we believe that you're born with something called fitrah, which is the initial goodness. You're born with an innate belief, receptivity to believe in one God.
Yeah.
And then that is corrupted. In fact, there's a prophet, hadith of the Prophet where he says, كُلُّ مَوْلُودٍ يُولَدُ عَلَى الْفِطْرَةِ. Every born child is born upon this initial goodness. فَأَبَوَاهُ يُهَوِّدَانِهِ أَوْ يُنَصِّرَانِهِ أَوْ يُمَجِّسَانِهِ. And then his father and mother or his parents, they socialize him into Christianity, Judaism, Magiism. So the idea is that everyone is born with this initial goodness and this initial will or want to believe in God, one God. And then, as you mentioned, I mean, it's what you're mentioning here is profound, because you're mentioning a central doctrine in Islam.
But it's and this is why perhaps I found God the way I did, because I understood all these things first, and then I saw the Quran, and it confirmed so many things for me. You know, like even the conversations I've been having so far, so many things have been confirmed, and it's amazing the knowledge that's inside of it, which is so applicable today. For an old book, right? You know, it's supposed to be old, but it seems so timeless. But it's truly amazing. But you're totally right. And the baseline morality, I don't think most people understand that when they're doing this under the guise of tolerance, when they're saying be so tolerant that you no longer believe in right from wrong, they're not doing that to make society a better place. They're doing that to empty your brain so that you have no resistance to the slave mind programming. They want to get you to a point where if they tell you the sky is green, you look at with your own eyes and you see blue, but no, the sky is green. That's what they want, so that you have to have nothing in your brain that can prevent that. If you have God, if you have, no, I believe this is right and wrong. You know, I've never been to like a music concert, and people ask me why, and I said, I just look at it and I feel embarrassed. I look at someone up on a stage dancing around, and I look at hundreds of thousands of peasants in the crowd. Just, I'm like, it's I feel cringe. It's like secondhand embarrassment when I see these festivals and everyone's losing their mind, or these music concerts. I genuinely feel embarrassed for the people who go, because to me that is a form of worship. So humans always need something to believe in. You're never going to be able to have enough girls to be happy with girls. You're never going to be able to have enough money to be happy with money. You're never going to be able to, you know, drink enough to be happy with drinking. Like, it's a black hole, and you can pour endless things down it, but you'll never fill it up. And you need to have some degree of self-restraint. And I've always been a very disciplined person, but certainly, the higher power is going to give you more satisfaction in your heart than endless insanity. I don't gamble. I've never taken a drug in my life, never tried steroids, never tried weed, never tried cocaine. So I wake up whatever time that happens to be, but I go to bed usually around 3, 4. First thing I do is drink 2 liters of water. Then I train. Every day I train for about...
What do you do?
I train for about 30 to 45 minutes a day. I still got the move. No one can hit me, so I'm still got it. But so usually about 45 minutes, I tear through a bunch of weights. I just go as crazy as I can, get that out of the way. Bunch of coffee. I'm a coffee addict, I guess. I don't know if that's still allowed. I hope so. But okay, good. Because I love caffeine. I believe caffeine's a miracle drug. So I'll have 2 or 3 coffees, another 2 liters of water. I only eat dinner every day. I don't eat breakfast. I don't eat lunch. And then from there, it's just completing tasks. I only sleep, because if I don't sleep, I wouldn't be able to work. Wow. If I could work without sleeping, I wouldn't sleep. So it's kind of funny, because people say to me, like, what's the secret to getting rich? The reason I do so fantastically well is because everybody who's ever followed me or tried any of the things I talk about, their life gets better. But truly, it's hard work. You need to be able to work endless hours. It's extremely competitive. You need to be able to work as harder than the other guys. And that's the only way I did it. I ground to the top the old-fashioned way, and that's still what I do. I just work.
So with this, basically, I'll say that, you know, in terms of your routine, Islamically, the main thing to focus next on will be the prayers, 5 prayers a day, right? And so that's obviously 1 in the morning, and then you'll have like prayer times and stuff like that, where you have to do the ablution and learn to. I saw you kind of praying. That was
I'm learning it, and I've been told the times, and I've got all this, and I'm going through all that, and I have to incorporate that as well.
It gives you a solid structure. I feel like it gives you anchorage in the day. It's the spine of my personal day. What are your views on gender? Like, how would you summarize your views on gender?
I would summarize my views on gender by being very simple and stating the fact that I think that the genders are different. I think we have different strengths and weaknesses. I think men are better at some things than women. I think women are better at some things than men. I think when we work together as a team, that makes us the most powerful force on the planet. Men have certain strengths and weaknesses. And when we both understand them, both accept them, and work as a team, then we're a complete package. And this is why God created us to be different. Absolutely. If we were exactly the same, we wouldn't need each other. This is what makes us need each other.
That's a powerful statement.
This is why we need each other.
We wouldn't need each other.
That's right. And this is what people don't understand when they sound misogynistic or I say bad things. I'm like, no, absolutely not. I'm talking about the differences between men and women, so people understand that men need women and women need men. And that's what creates beautiful families. That's what keeps society functioning. And as soon as you point out the differences between the two genders, they're going to attack you, because they don't want men and women to need each other. That's one of the things they really don't want, because the number one thing that will inspire you to resist against total tyranny is protection of your family. But my views on gender are very, very simple. I'd actually argue that in certain scenarios, in certain places in the Western world, it's more dangerous to walk alone as a man than a woman. You know?
Why are the feminists not arguing for equal rights on this point?
And the reason for this is because I actually think it makes humanity the most competitive. And I think if you were to take 10 men and 10 women, let's say we have two planes, right? And I grew up, I mean, I tell you, I grew up in a place where the world was very different. Like if a random man, a stranger, a neighbor, yelled at me as a kid, my dad would be like, yeah, yell at him. Like we were scared of our elders.
He says, وَلَا تَتَمَنَّوْا مَا فَضَّلَ اللَّهُ بِهِ بَعْضُكُمْ عَلَى بَعْضٍ. Do not wish what the other one has. لِلرِّجَالِ نَصِيبٌ مِمَّا اكْتَسَبُوا وَلِلنِّسَاءِ نَصِيبٌ مِمَّا اكْتَسَبْنَ. For a man is a portion from what he has earned. Yeah. Like men have been given certain things that women have not been given, and vice versa. Wow. She wrote a book called The Second Stage. She said, I done sociological experiments in the 70s, after the 60s, after the change that have been done in the 60s, and they found that 79% of women that responded said that they would quit work if they could tomorrow. He actually said religious families, like obviously nuclear, traditional families, religious families. They advantage women, they advantage children, they advantage men. And now you're saying something which is against it. Clearly it's not in their economic interest.
Yeah. I think that women innately, maybe the world has convinced them otherwise. Starbucks, makeup, Instagram likes, career, all this crap. And society's trying to convince it out of them. And I'm not saying that women shouldn't have free choice. I think women should absolutely be allowed to do whatever they want. Then they sneak in all this other insanity. Yeah. There are hidden agendas and hidden back doors in all of it. And that's the scary thing about feminism.
A lot of it is just a simple explanation that it's in the economic interest of the West and the elites. You're saying something opposite to this.
And it's not even just lose money. The reason that they push feminism so hard, a lot of people understand, is so they could double the tax bracket. They wanted women to work so they could double the taxes. And his own children are arguing with him because they learned it in school. You have to give your kids away to the school. If you don't give your kids away to the brainwashing, you'll get in trouble. Yeah. You're saying women shouldn't vote. And I've seen the Muslim community, the only ones standing at the gates of schools saying, you're not going to teach this to our kids.
And you know what's so ironic about this is that if you read the 30 articles of the Human Rights Convention, I think it's number 27 or something like this, which says that a human being has a right to educate their children, or what their children is educated about. But what's even more pernicious, I think, as you said, is that this is a religion. I mean, at the end of the day, I think anthropologists, maybe 100 years from now, are going to look back in Western civilization and say an individual with these traits is identifying in this way. This is a mythology of some sorts, a fiction of some sorts. Yeah. And one of them was where you were saying that you can do what you want. I mean, in the West, just to be clear, I don't think either of us or any of us have said, no, we want to stop you from doing what you want. We're saying you can do what you want, and we're not stopping you from doing what you want. We're not trying to encroach on your rights. You live in the West, you have your rights. But what we're saying is that the red line is the children.
Absolutely. They need to understand anybody with any idea, and we don't have to talk about particularly sexuality because people get offended for it. Let's talk about something benign that makes it a lot harder for them to cut me up and misconstrue me like they always do. Let's talk about orange juice. If I don't like orange juice, and I've had children that I'm responsible for...
they'll still do it with orange juice.
Yeah, I know they will.
They'll say that he was analyzing...
Of course they will. I can't win. I can't win. But if I have children, and I raise them, and I'm responsible for them, and I decided to have them, and I sacrifice that for them, and I decide that I don't want them to drink orange juice, it's not fair for the government to come along and say, it doesn't matter what you want, we're going to force them to drink orange juice. And this is what they effectively do with so many of these ideologies. And you're right. It's to a degree, it's a religion. They are so fervent and so desperate for people to accept and believe in these things. This is why people say, oh, I'm an atheist. There's no such thing as an atheist. You either believe in God or you believe in the devil, and you believe in the degeneracy. There's no in between. I've never seen anybody who's an atheist who's genuinely just neutral to these things, right? They always end up agreeing with this craziness. This is about genuinely good versus evil. This is genuinely about the forces of evil versus God. That's what this is about. It's about the fact that there are ideas that they have now that we can't talk against. For the last 3 years, they had this thing we weren't allowed to talk against, and look what it did to people. Look how it decimated people, locking them in their houses, destroying people's businesses, etc. And guess what's going to come next? Another idea we're not allowed to talk against, and another one we're not allowed to talk against. And people think that anyone who's ignorant enough to sit there and trust the rulers of earth or their government and go, they're going to come up with ideas that I can't disagree with and nobody can disagree with, and those ideas are going to be good for me. Well, then you are a dummy, and you deserve what comes next. The only bad thing about being canceled is you have 3 strikes. First, they try and shut you up and lie about you and hope you'll be quiet. And if that doesn't happen, they try and put you in jail for something you didn't do. And if that doesn't work, they kill you. So when you lose your first strike, that is kind of scary. To know now that, okay, they've told me I must be quiet, and I'm not being quiet. Yeah. So they're sitting around going, oh, Big Mouth still wants to talk. And they're coming up with a plan to try and make me be quiet. And this is why, once again, when I was saying earlier about the reason I've adopted Islam and how you have red lines and things you stand up for, It's the Islamic community, the only ones I see who are outside schools trying to protest and protect their own children. They're the only ones who have a baseline moral fiber that can't be corrupted. We're here in Dubai, right? You could walk outside and find a construction worker in the heat for $300 a month. If you offered him $1 million to denounce Islam, he wouldn't do it. He could not be bought.
And let me say something else as well on that. When you go through a trial or a tribulation, your sins are being deleted. You're going through a challenge. It's strengthening your iman, your faith, your person, or it's putting you in a higher rank in the hereafter.
Yep.
We believe obviously in heaven and hell. We believe in these things as real constructs. Islam is a very, very basic religion, and it really is just a belief and worship in one God worthy of worship. As we've talked about today, it's not your desires, it's not the society, it's not the matrix or the LWO,
Yep.
the liberal world order. It's not any of those things. Really, it's just belief and worship in one God. And it is the belief in all of the messengers, Abraham, Moses, Jesus, and we believe the final messenger is Prophet Muhammad, who I've just described a second ago. And if someone just believes in those two things, actually, for all intents and purposes, they're a Muslim, and then all they have to do next is start praying 5 times a day, which is what Andrew Tate has done. It's been a pleasure having you on. I know you're a bit tired and fatigued, so I don't want to make it all long for you, and we'll get something to eat after this. I don't know how long we've been talking for. How long have we been speaking for? I think that's a good time.
Yeah,
I think
and we can do another one as well, especially as
Sure.
my journey continues and as I learn more and as I get more knowledgeable. I would love in a year or so or 6, 7 months, etc. We'd meet up again and do something.
Absolutely. And if you need anything from us, obviously, we're always being in communication with you. If you need resources, research, anything like that.
Perfect.
And you're part of the community. And one thing I want to say to the Muslim people is we must show loyalty and unity with Andrew Tate in the sense that he is now one of our brothers. And it is absolutely unforgivable to say things that some of these feminist Muslims have been saying. And in fact, if anything, they need to be the ones who are refuted. Andrew Tate now is a brother of ours. His sins have been completely wiped away. And that really is that. Thank you so much, Andrew, for coming.
Thank you very much, man. And it's been educational and very interesting. Thank you, my friend.
Too, man.
Thank you,
so
brother.
much. Take care, man.